The metaverse pulsed with neon calm until the silence broke with a scream that didn't belong to any avatar. Ethan said, "That voice isn't real." His heart froze as a figure across the room flickered, pixels collapsing into static. The avatar, a woman in silver armor, twisted and shattered into geometric shards, scattering like glass across the glowing floor. Text crawled across Ethan's vision. "You were never meant to be here." Panic gripped him. The sound of breathing echoed through his headset, but he was alone. Lights dimmed, then surged into red. His hands trembled as his own avatar glitched, his reflection splitting into dozens of broken copies. "Who's doing this?" Ethan whispered, his voice small against the rising static storm. The metaverse wasn't bending, it was breaking. Ethan tore his visor off, gasping for air in his dim apartment. Neon city lights bled through cracked blinds, buzzing faintly. His headset pulsed faint red on the desk as if alive. "It followed me," Ethan whispered, pressing trembling hands to his face. A flicker of the same crimson text burned faintly across his darkened laptop screen before fading into static. He spun his chair, heart hammering, but the room was empty. Shadows stretched unnaturally, as if leaning toward him. He thought of logging back in, but the memory of that scream gnawed at him. For a moment, he wondered if he had screamed himself. The city outside was alive with voices, but none reached him. Alone in a silent storm of neon, Ethan realized the metaverse had left its mark on reality. The silence cracked with a faint whisper. Ethan said, "Who's there?" His laptop flickered, static buzzing into distorted text. "Do not resist." His stomach knotted. He reached for the power cord, but the machine's glow deepened, flooding the room with digital red. Shadows rippled along the walls like liquid code. He slammed the lid shut, but the whisper grew louder, breathing against his ear as if the voice were inside him. He staggered back, hitting the table, knocking a glass to the floor where it shattered. Every sound felt amplified, unreal. His own reflection in the black laptop screen did not move. A hollow version of his face stared back, smiling faintly. Ethan stumbled toward the door, but his handle burned cold, covered in faint digital static. "No, this isn't real," he whispered. His breath fogged the air. The room stretched impossibly, walls shifting like elastic code. A hum vibrated in his skull, too loud to be silence, yet too soft to be sound. His reflection in the window blinked twice, when he did not. For a heartbeat, he was sure someone else was in the room, hidden in his skin. He pressed his head against the cool glass, desperate for escape. Outside, neon signs warped into alien characters he couldn't read, flickering like warnings in a dead language. He collapsed back into his chair, clutching his headset. "It won't let me go," Ethan muttered. The headset throbbed with faint red veins of light as if alive. He closed his eyes, heartbeat pounding, but the voice returned, whispering, "You belong to us now." His veins felt hot, his skin prickling as though electricity ran beneath it. He dared not put the visor back on, yet he knew he had no choice. The silence outside pressed against the glass, heavier than any storm. A cruel truth settled in him. Reality itself was bending, and the metaverse had followed him home. Ethan sat hunched on his bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, while the city's hum bled through thin walls. In reality, he was invisible. A dropout scraping by with deliveries, ignored by neighbors, forgotten by friends. The glow of his headset mocked him from the desk, pulsing faint red. He muttered, "Out there, I'm no one." In the metaverse, he had built a version of himself that mattered, strong, confident, admired. Yet in this dim, cluttered room, he was just another shadow drifting through days. He pressed his hands to his face, ashamed of the sweat, the trembling. Loneliness pressed heavier than the silence, and a thought returned like poison. The digital world was the only place he had ever felt alive. With shaking hands, Ethan slid the visor back on, plunging into a realm where the world bent to will. His avatar appeared in polished armor, taller, stronger, with the confidence he lacked outside. Here, crowds filled luminous plazas, avatars laughing, striking, and glowing with crafted perfection. Ethan whispered, "This is who I should have been." He walked among them, head high, his armor reflecting neon towers, and felt eyes turned toward him with respect. The ache in his chest dulled, replaced by fleeting dignity. Yet, even in the glow, shadows clung at the edge of vision. He smiled faintly, trying to believe this reflection was real, trying to drown the memory of the voice whispering, "You were never meant to be here." From the edge of the plaza, a small voice called, "Ethan." He turned and saw Lily, her youthful avatar shimmering awkwardly, her movements clumsy. She had begged him to bring her into this world, chasing wonder, not knowing its dangers. Her wide eyes reflected awe as she looked up at neon towers. "It's beautiful," Lily said. Ethan's chest tightened. She was innocent, fragile, a flicker of light he feared would burn out here. He placed a hand on her shoulder, whispering, "Stay close." In her smile, he saw the last piece of trust he hadn't lost. For a moment, he imagined a version of this world safe enough for her joy. But deep down, he knew the metaverse did not forgive weakness. A voice rose from behind, steady and warm. Marcus said, "You shouldn't be here alone, Ethan." Ethan turned, relief flooding him at the sight of his old friend's avatar. Marcus's frame was broad, armored in muted steel, scars etched across his digital face, the marks of countless battles. Marcus grinned faintly, though weariness hid behind it. "Still trying to carry the world on your back." Ethan smiled, the first real smile in days. Marcus had always been his anchor, the voice that steadied him when everything else cracked. Yet even as the two clasped hands, Ethan felt the silence beneath Marcus's words, a heaviness that made his trust flicker. Still, for now, Marcus' presence felt like safety in a collapsing world. As they stood together, the laughter of avatars echoed like music, but Ethan felt unease coil in his stomach. Lily's gaze danced at neon signs, oblivious to eyes watching from shadows. Marcus said, "Stay sharp, nothing's free here." Ethan nodded, but part of him clung to the fragile peace of this moment. For once he was surrounded by those who believed in him, who didn't see the broken man behind the armor. He wanted to freeze it, hold it, keep it untouched. Yet at the plaza's edge, a flicker of static distorted the crowd, a silent reminder that safety was only illusion. Ethan whispered, "Maybe this could be real." The city answered with silence, its neon glow concealing the storm ahead. The arena roared with neon thunder as Ethan stepped into the dueling ground, the air vibrating with the coded voices of hundreds watching. Spectators filled digital stands, their avatars sculpted to perfection, faces frozen in hungry anticipation. A crimson-armored challenger strode forward, towering weapon gleaming like molten steel. Ethan raised his blade, his avatar shining for a moment, but the motion stuttered, glitching mid-swing. The audience laughed, cruel echoes reverberating like breaking glass. "Pathetic," a voice jeered, amplified by code until it echoed across every corner. Ethan stumbled, sparks shooting from his boots as his blade shattered on impact with the ground. He fell to his knees, armor dimming like dying embers, while the roar of laughter swelled. His heart twisted with humiliation, each cheer like a knife cutting deep. He whispered, "Not here, not like this." In that instant, the metaverse didn't empower him. It stripped him bare, revealing weakness he had tried to bury. A hush fell as the destroyer emerged above the arena, his presence pulling every gaze. His obsidian armor glowed faintly, red veins crawling across it like fire and stone. Above his head floated a jagged crown of code, shifting, pulsing, a mark of absolute dominion. His voice cut through the silence, deep and merciless. "Weakness feeds us." The audience bowed in reverence, their glowing forms trembling. Ethan looked up, heart hammering as the destroyer's eyes locked on him, colder than ice, heavier than iron. "You don't belong here," the warlord declared, voice booming like thunder across the fractured floor. "You never will." Ethan clenched his fists, his rage burning hotter than his shame. The arena cracked beneath him, crimson light spreading like veins of infection. From the stands, Marcus shouted, "Get up!" His friend's voice carried urgency, but Ethan's legs trembled, refusing command. The destroyer lifted his hand, and the crowd exploded again, voices unified in cruelty, demanding Ethan's humiliation. After the duel, neon lights of the plaza felt colder. Marcus dragged Ethan into a shadowed alley lined with glowing wires, anger sharp in his grip. "You let them see you fall," Marcus growled, steel armor clinking as he leaned close. Ethan stared at the ground, shame twisting his chest. "I couldn't stop it." "Something glitched me," he said, voice thin and broken. Lily stood nearby, her white dress glowing faintly in the darkness, her wide eyes filled with fear. "They were laughing at you," she whispered, voice trembling. The words pierced deeper than Marcus's anger. Ethan felt smaller than ever, his armor no shield against their disappointment. His fists shook as he whispered, "I didn't mean to." Marcus's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained steel. "This world eats weakness. If you stumble again, they'll tear you apart." Ethan turned away, hiding tears that burned his eyes. In Lily's gaze he saw fragile disappointment, and it was unbearable. Lily wandered near the edges of the plaza, curiosity leading her into streets where neon flickered weakly, half broken. Hollow-eyed avatars lingered there, their faces twitching with glitching grins. One leaned forward, whispering, "Pretty little spark." Lily froze, her breath quickening. Others slithered closer, their movements jagged, inhuman, like corrupted data stitched into bodies. Ethan rushed forward, pushing Lily behind him, blade raised though cracked. "Stay close," he shouted, forcing steel into his tone. The corrupted avatars circled, their hollow eyes burning faint blue. Lily clutched Ethan's arm, voice trembling. "I'm scared." Her white dress glowed too brightly in the dark, making her a target, a beacon among predators. Ethan's heart raced as he swung, sparks erupting against twisted forms. The metaverse hissed like it was alive, hungering for her fear. Later, in a silent corridor lined with pulsating neon, Ethan felt the air thicken. A cloaked avatar emerged, movements deliberate, mask shifting with digital static. Their voice cut deep. "You trust too easily." Ethan stiffened, recognizing fragments of a familiar tone, yet it dripped venom. "They mock you, Ethan. Marcus pities you. Lily fears you. They don't stand beside you. They hide behind you." His jaw clenched. "Who are you?" he demanded, blade twitching in his grip. The figure stepped closer, the hood slipping enough to reveal half a face. Familiar smile twisted by shadows. "Someone who knows the truth," they said softly. Every word a poison seed planted in Ethan's chest. Doubt writhed inside him, coiling like smoke. He turned away, unwilling to believe, yet unable to erase the echo. The metaverse carried many masks, but betrayal wore the most human face. The night in the metaverse glowed softer, streets buzzing with faint neon as Ethan walked beside Marcus. His friend's voice was steady, reassuring, almost too steady. "You don't have to carry this alone," Marcus said, his eyes glinting with something unreadable. Ethan felt a flicker of hope, though unease gnawed at him. Marcus had always stood firm, his anchor when shadows closed in. Tonight, though, his tone held an edge, a weight Ethan couldn't place. Lily skipped ahead, laughing at glowing signs, unaware of the tension. Ethan whispered, "I trust you." Marcus gave a thin smile, one that didn't quite reach his eyes. The world shimmered faintly, and in that moment, Ethan felt both safe and dangerously exposed. They stopped under a flickering billboard, static crawling across the screen like veins. Marcus said, "They mock you because you hesitate." His words were sharp, slicing deeper than he intended. Ethan frowned, confusion twisting into doubt. "I thought you believed in me." Marcus looked away, jaw tight, eyes shadowed. "Belief has limits." His tone cracked like glass. Lily glanced back nervously, sensing the shift. Ethan's chest tightened, feeling cracks spread in the foundation of trust. Every word Marcus spoke carried a bitterness Ethan had never heard before, as if resentment had lived in silence too long. "What are you saying?" Ethan whispered. Marcus's silence weighed heavier than any answer, and the billboard's static lit his face like fire. The trap was set without Ethan realizing it. Marcus led them into an abandoned district, streets empty, walls lined with glitching code. Ethan paused, unease twisting. "Why here?" Marcus didn't answer, only walking forward until figures emerged from the shadows. The destroyer's agents, their armor black as void, circled the trio. Lily gasped, clutching Ethan's arm. Ethan turned to Marcus, but his friend's eyes were downcast. "You brought us here?" Ethan demanded. Marcus' silence was enough. The agents moved closer, blades glowing with corrupted fire. Ethan's rage surged, betrayal already sharp as steel. "Why?" he shouted. Marcus's reply was quiet, almost broken. "Because I was never enough beside you." Ethan's heart split as Marcus stepped back, leaving him exposed to the encircling predators. "All this time," Ethan said, his voice raw. Marcus finally met his gaze, pain in his eyes, but no regret in his words. "I was the shadow, Ethan. You shone. They followed you. I was nothing." Lily cried out, "That's not true." But Marcus shook his head, guilt hardening into resolve. The destroyer's voice boomed unseen. "The mask is off. The betrayal is complete." Ethan lunged forward, blade raised, but Marcus blocked his strike, sparks exploding as steel clashed. The sound rang like thunder, splitting loyalty into pieces. Ethan shouted, "You were my brother." Marcus's reply was a whisper, trembling yet sharp, "And that is why I must end you." The betrayal landed heavier than any blade. Ethan fell back, chest heaving, eyes locked on Marcus. His world fractured, trust splintering into ash. Marcus said, "The corporation promised me power, promised I would never fade again." His voice cracked, torn between triumph and regret. Ethan's rage flared, but grief held him captive. Lily sobbed, whispering, "How could you?" Marcus's face twisted, torn between pride and shame. Around them, the agents closed in, their presence suffocating. Ethan realized this was more than betrayal. It was a death sentence, written long before the fight. He raised his blade again, tears blurring his vision. "Then, I'll fight you, Marcus, even if it breaks me." And with that, the bonds of brotherhood were severed forever. In the silence after blades clashed, the world flickered like a broken film reel. Ethan's chest heaved as the shadows bent unnaturally. Then, from the static haze, another figure stepped forward, his double. Same armor, same face, same eyes, but colder, crueler. "You don't know who you are," the shadow said, voice deep with distorted echo. Ethan staggered back, whispering, "That's me." The reflection smirked, blade dripping static, every movement deliberate. Lily clutched Ethan's hand, her trembling breaking him further. Marcus froze, confusion flashing in his eyes, as if betrayal was no longer the worst revelation. The shadow leaned close, hissing words that shattered Ethan's breath. "You've been fighting yourself all along." The shadow circled Ethan slowly, movements like a predator savoring prey. "You think the Metaverse saved you," it whispered, "but it fed on you. I am what's left when you tear away the mask." Ethan's breath came ragged, his mind unraveling with every word. Lily cried, "Don't listen," but her voice was distant, drowned beneath static thundering in Ethan's ears. Marcus stared at the shadow, realization dawning too late. "It's not just code," Marcus muttered, horror twisting his face. Ethan shouted, "What are you?" The shadow laughed softly. "I'm the truth, the part you buried, the weakness they all saw before you hid in this world." Every secret Ethan had tried to escape stood before him, alive. The destroyer's voice thundered from above, mocking, "Did you think betrayal was the deepest cut? No, Ethan. The metaverse itself devours your soul. The ground split, avatars frozen in the crowd like mannequins, eyes vacant, mouths open in silent screams. Ethan's shadow raised its blade, every strike a reflection of Ethan's own hesitation. Marcus shouted, "He's not real!" But Ethan felt the weight, each blow shattering confidence. Lily sobbed, clutching her chest. "Please stop!" Ethan gasped, rage warring with despair. The shadows sneered. "They never laughed at me. They laughed at you." Ethan's chest burned, the words sinking deep. For the first time, he realized the war wasn't against enemies, it was against himself. Reality blurred. Ethan's visor flickered, revealing his real face for a heartbeat, pale and exhausted in his dark apartment. Then it snapped back, blending reality and code. The shadow's form warped, voice breaking into overlapping whispers. "Every humiliation, every tear, every night you wanted to vanish, I am all of it." Ethan fell to his knees, clutching his head, memories crashing over him. Marcus staggered back, muttering, "This world isn't just code, it's a lie." Lily knelt beside Ethan, pleading, "You're not him." Ethan's tears burned as he looked into the shadow's hollow eyes. For the first time, he saw the truth. The metaverse had stolen his pain, only to weaponize it against him. The shadow knelt before Ethan, pressing a blade of static to his chest. "This is the moment, Ethan," it hissed. "Accept me, and you'll never feel weak again. Resist, and you'll break." Ethan's vision blurred, Marcus shouting in the distance, Lily screaming his name, but none pierced the fog. He felt his pulse merge with the metaverse itself, every heartbeat echoing in the code. His reflection flickered between faces, broken man, false hero, hollow shell. He whispered, "If you are me, then I'll destroy you." With one desperate strike, Ethan drove his blade forward, piercing his own double. The shadow gasped, smiling faintly. "You only killed yourself." Then it dissolved into shards, leaving Ethan trembling, half victorious, half ruined. Ethan rose from the dust, rage burning brighter than fear. His cracked armor glowed faintly, every breath searing his lungs like fire. He shouted, "You won't own me." His blade pulsed, reforged by fury, neon light swirling around its edge. The destroyer's agents rushed forward, weapons blazing, but Ethan met them head-on. His strikes were wild, desperate, yet fueled by something deeper than survival. Marcus watched from the shadows, torn, fists clenched. Lily screamed his name, voice echoing across the battlefield. Every clash sent sparks into the collapsing arena, the ground fracturing beneath their feet. Ethan roared, each swing tearing apart avatars, but his fury was not against them. It was against betrayal, against lies, against the chains that had bound his soul. The destroyer descended, his presence warping the air like gravity itself. His obsidian armor blazed with pulsing red veins, crown of jagged code flickering above him. He said, "You fight, but you fight for nothing." Ethan charged, blade clashing against the destroyer's massive weapon, sparks exploding in blinding arcs. The impact rattled his bones, but he pushed harder, screaming with rage. The destroyer laughed, shoving him back as the arena cracked wider. "You are small," the warlord thundered. Ethan spat blood, refusing to bow. "I'm not yours," Marcus cried from the edge, torn between loyalty and betrayal, his voice breaking. "You can't win." Yet Ethan rose again, defiance burning in his eyes. The warlord's shadow loomed, unstoppable, but Ethan refused to break. The clash was interrupted by Lily's scream. She had been pulled into the circle of agents, their blades raised, their eyes hollow and unblinking. Ethan turned, panic surging hotter than any wound. "No!" he shouted, sprinting across broken ground. Marcus stood frozen, torn between the destroyer's command and his own conscience. Lily sobbed, her white dress glowing like a beacon as she struggled against their grasp. "Please, Ethan." Her voice cracked, fragile and raw. Ethan's fury blinded him. He cut down agents with reckless abandon, sparks and code spraying into the air. Yet for everyone he struck, more closed in, and Lily's cries grew weaker. The arena roared with chaos, but in Ethan's ears, only her voice mattered. From the fractured ground, the shadow emerged once more, flickering with static. Its face was Ethan's, twisted and hollow. "You can't save her," it whispered, circling. Ethan swung at it, but his blade passed through like smoke. The shadow laughed. "She suffers because of you. She followed you here. She breaks because you break." Ethan's chest tightened, guilt sharper than any blade. Marcus shouted, "Ignore it," but his own voice shook. Lily's cries blended with the shadow's taunts until Ethan felt torn apart. He screamed, "Get out of my head!" Yet the shadow pressed closer, its eyes glowing white. "You can't kill me, Ethan. I am you." Reality bent, neon light bleeding into black, leaving Ethan gasping, trapped between saving Lily and confronting himself. The battle reached its breaking point. Ethan collapsed to his knees, torn between rage, grief, and despair. The destroyer towered above, blade raised for the final strike. Marcus stepped forward, trembling, torn apart by choice. Lily's cries filled the air, her glow dimming, fading. Ethan's shadow crouched beside him, whispering, "End it. Let it all go, or rise." Ethan clenched his blade, his body shaking, his soul aflame. "I won't break," he said, voice hoarse but defiant. With a roar he rose, meeting the destroyer's descending strike head-on. Sparks and light exploded, the arena shattering into a storm of neon shards. The world convulsed as Ethan unleashed everything within him, fury and grief burning together in one final stand. The battlefield lay in ruins, fragments of neon drifting like ash. Ethan stood trembling, blade lowered, armor cracked and smoking. The destroyer had vanished into static, but his shadow lingered. Lily collapsed to the ground, her glow faint, her breaths shallow. Marcus knelt nearby, staring at his own bloodied hands, guilt written across his face. Silence swallowed the world, broken only by Ethan's ragged breathing. "It's over," he whispered, but the words felt hollow. His reflection in the fractured ground blinked differently, a reminder that victory meant nothing if the scars remained. Around them, the metaverse flickered, as though mourning itself. Ethan crawled to Lily, cradling her trembling form. "Stay with me," he whispered, tears streaking down his digital face. Her voice was weak, broken by static. "I'm so cold." He pressed his forehead to hers, desperate to anchor her to life. Marcus staggered closer, but Ethan snarled, "Don't touch her." Marcus's expression twisted with shame, but he stayed back, his silence louder than any defense. The arena around them collapsed in waves, towers crumbling into dust, the metaverse erasing its own stage. Lily's glow dimmed with every heartbeat. Ethan whispered again, "I won't lose you." But deep down, he knew the metaverse demanded a sacrifice, and innocence never survived its hunger. As Lily's breathing slowed, the destroyer's voice echoed faintly, carried on static. "You win nothing. You only bleed." Ethan clutched her tighter, rage burning through despair. Marcus stepped forward, whispering, "Let me help." But Ethan's glare silenced him. "You already destroyed us," Ethan spat. Marcus' face cracked, the weight of betrayal breaking him from within. Ethan lifted Lily, her glow flickering like the last flame in a storm. The ground beneath them split wider, exposing void beneath. Ethan shouted at the skies, "If you want someone, take me." The metaverse answered with silence, as if listening. Lily whispered faintly, "Don't leave me," and Ethan's heart shattered. The metaverse convulsed, static tearing through the sky. Ethan stood tall, Lily in his arms, his blade glowing brighter than ever. Marcus whispered, "You'll die if you fight again." Ethan didn't turn. "I already did," he replied, his voice steady, broken yet resolute. The shadow appeared one final time, flickering at the edge of sight, whispering, "You can't change what you are." Ethan's grip tightened on his sword. "Maybe not," he said, "but I can choose what I'll become." He raised the blade high, channeling fury, grief, and defiance. Neon lightning crashed, answering his call. For a moment, Ethan stood not as a broken man, but as a defiant soul burning brighter than the system that tried to consume him. The final blow came not with a clash, but with silence. Ethan's blade pierced the sky, shattering the crown of code above. The world convulsed, then stilled. The destroyer's voice faded into nothing, leaving only a whisper. Another one logged out. Ethan collapsed, Lily's form dissolving into light in his arms. Marcus fell to his knees, hands covering his face, broken by his choices. Ethan whispered, barely audible, "I never left." His avatar flickered, merging with the static storm. The headset in his apartment glowed red, pulsing once before falling silent. In the void where the metaverse had been, only echoes remained. A scar that would never heal, a scream no one could forget.